So there we go. The record is on. So yeah, thanks for joining, Des. Pretty much tonight, what we're going to do is just kind of go through the typical questions that we've seen from recruits. We did our coaches series in the summer, and we've compiled a lot of similar questions that came through. So if you're good to go, first question that we get asked a lot from recruits or potential student athletes that might be interested in playing basketball at Durham College is kind of what a typical week for your team is like in a normal season.
Okay, so September, let's just begin with our startup. We go first, we get 4 days to, I guess, pick the team, select the team. So we do Monday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday there, and we get those 4 weeks. So we get the team selected by Friday. Then for the 2 remaining weeks of September, the third week and the first week of October, we go 4 days a week. And that's conditioning, that's light basketball, so primarily conditioning. We will do some light basketball stuff, but not too much. Once we get to that point, then we start picking up a little bit more basketball type training, if you will. We'll do maybe fast break drills. We'll do maybe a couple of inbound plays, because shortly in the second week of October, we generally have an exhibition game, followed shortly by our tournament. So we don't like to have too much in place for that, because at this point, as coaches, we're still trying to figure out who can play and who can do what without being structured and regimented all the time. Once we get that past that tournament weekend, then we more get into team stuff that we want to do for the year. And that comes down to 3 days a week, basically, with a game included in there somehow. We try to always take Fridays off if we're not playing. And when we play on the weekend, we'll usually take the Monday off. So we still got to consider academics and all that for these kids. So we can't just go basketball the whole time, right? So
I know they would probably love to, but
yeah.
And hosting that tournament's a big help too. You give a lot of run for guys, right? As we're hosts, and that's an annual thing.
Right, and it gives us a chance. We really, I mean, everybody wants to win, but we approach it as an assessment type tool. The exhibition game, and hopefully we get 3 games. So we have 4 games to get everybody in to try and give them, I wouldn't say equal minutes, because some guys are going to play more than others, but try at least to get them an opportunity to get on the floor in game type situation rather than a practice, so we can see what they're comfortable doing when it's somebody other than their teammate facing them.
So jumping off of that, kind of right into question 2, what's typically practices with the men's basketball team like, all the way from what's it like when the guys show up to the team room, maybe from class or maybe from home, or anything that might have to do with therapy beforehand, all the way to the end of practice?
Right. So it's sort of tiered, if you will. So if you need athletic therapy, let's not say you don't need physio, but you need to get taped and all that. If we start at 7, we're going to ask you to be there 6:20 or so you can get in, get taped, get into the locker room, because I would like everybody in the dressing room getting prepared to get on the floor by 6:45. At 7 o'clock, we want everybody inside the gym, and there's nothing that we as coaches need to do, because the group knows whoever is our designated captain or a leader for that at that time, they know to get them into automatically start stretching. Sometimes the therapists help out with that, but generally it's on them. They start their run, they run warm-up laps, and then they do dynamic stretching. And we generally give them till about 7:20 to do that. Then about 7:20, we come in and we have a talk. If we had a game, we talk about the game previous. If we have an upcoming game, we talk about what we're going to work on to prepare for who we're playing against. And if it's just a practice week, we just go over what we want to accomplish for the week, for the practice, and how we're going to get it done. So at about 7:20, we start with light warm-ups, maybe a little layup drill, just getting the guys warm, getting them loose. And then as we progress, we pick up the pace of what we're doing. We might go into a full court 12-man drill, a 3-man weave, whatever it is we're at. That will get us probably, so about 7:35, we're ready to go with team stuff, right? Depending on the day, we might do some defensive stuff. We may do some offensive stuff, may do some transition, just depends on where we are within the season, within what we need to work on. But I'm a guy who's heavily in favor of defense, so we do a lot of that stuff. Everything we do is defensive incorporated. A lot of conditioning, a lot of running, but a lot of skill development in terms of defensive positioning, posture, where you need to be, what the coverages are, what the terms we're going to use, terminologies, all those things. So everybody's sort of on the same page.
And it's pretty competitive in the East, right? So a lot of the time needs to be devoted there to defense.
Yeah. There's some really good teams, Seneca, George Brown, all those teams are pretty good. And year to year, we generally are able to compete with them because we work hard at what we do, and we're serious about what we're doing. I mean, we've medaled, I think, a few years ago, but we haven't been in that sort of thing for a while. But say for maybe last year, we've always been pretty competitive. We've always been able to go in and beat the good teams or compete with them at least, and that's all you can ask.
Mm-hmm. So then jumping to talk a little bit about the facilities, can you just kind of go through what student athletes are going to get in terms of the gyms that are available to them, and then the gym time, the team rooms that you have, the extras like the study hall space and the ETS training rooms and stuff like that. So just the facilities that will be available to student athletes.
So, and I always start with, once you walk through the door, you come to a big area where there's the people working there, sort of where you have to swipe your card, and that is where it all begins. We like to respect the fact that what those guys are doing is a job. So we talk about, you have your card that you need to swipe to get in, or set up with the hand stamp that allows you access to the gym without just thinking it's your place to be. We respect what they're doing. Once you get into the gym, I believe our dressing room and how it's been built over the last few years is one of the best in the OCAA. And it's something that we try to get the players to cherish. It's their space. You have your own little individual cubby, if you will. You can keep your books, you can keep your clothes, your uniforms, but we ask that you maintain it, you keep it clean. Our locker room has a key code entrance. Once you're a member of the team in good standing, we give you that code. And it's yours for you and your teammates only. No friends, no girlfriends, no whatever is in there. We allow you, if you want to sit down and have a meal, that's fine. Just take out what you eat so it doesn't get there with what doesn't smell, doesn't have odors. We advise you as well, once or twice a week, take your stuff home and wash it. Otherwise, confined in that room, it can get a little bit of an odor. So, and we tell them anytime throughout the day they want to use it, by all means, go ahead and use it. I think it's one of the best facilities in terms of locker rooms that we have, so take good advantage of it. We also let them know that it's a time maybe when nobody's around, they can come in and use it as a study place. Just be by yourself, sit in your chair, put your foot up on another chair, and just do some work or whatever you need to do. We have whiteboards in there. We have TV in there, internet access, so there's a lot of stuff they can do in there. We always keep a little music player so you can play some music. As long as it's not too loud to disturb the other teams around us, knock yourself out. In terms of our gym, I've always believed that that's one of the best gyms in the OCAA, and with the work they've done this year and how they've sort of made it into how it looks, it's the best place to play. I think once we get going with games and stuff, we have a fan base that is pretty good. With Durham College is good at supporting teams, so you always get a lot of people in there making a lot of noise, and it's a great atmosphere.
There's beforehand, no fans.
Sorry?
There's beforehand, no fans there.
Yeah. Well, like I said, when things are normal, that place, like when you play Seneca, George Brown, you get those sort of rival games on a Friday night. That place could be a zoo. And
basketball pulls a good crowd, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they are quite loud when they're in there. And it's a great atmosphere. If you like to play in front of people and have a good time, that's a good place, because it gets really loud and it doesn't get too malicious or anything. It's just fans having fun. Okay. Just looking here, the study hall. So we have a room upstairs that we book through the administration. I generally like to do it on a Tuesday night, and it's sort of a mandatory thing where you come. Let's say we practice at 7 till 9. I usually book it from 6 till 6:45. It's not a lot of time, but it gives them some time to get in and at least get some homework done prior to practice, because when they finish at 9, get home 9:30, 10 o'clock, most of them just want to go straight to bed. So at least they've done 45 minutes of some sort of study. We ask that it's school related only. Bring in any one of your subjects and do that. No crossword puzzles, no newspapers, no headphones, just school related stuff. Okay, if you're found doing other stuff, we will talk to you, and then we'll progressively discipline you if it continues to the point where we might tell you it's probably not the place for you. Because my firm belief is academics first before athletics.
And it's
So,
a space they can use anytime throughout the day. Like if they have a break in their schedule, they can jump up to that study hall area. It's not
right.
for varsity.
So our time is for us only, but there are times during the day you can go in there and it's just go in and relax. And have nice reclining chairs, nice big chairs, or computer desks if you want. Get yourself set up and do what it is you need to do. But we firmly, I don't want to say insist, but recommend that they use a facility because it's there for good use. Okay, ETS, we have a facility where we can book group training. So we go in as a team and we do some stuff. They have people that lead it. That's sort of out of my hands. And there's a good group of guys. I think it's led by Manny, might be the gentleman's name.
Yeah, Manny's the lead for ETS
Yeah,
now.
and he will look out. So basically what they'll do is they'll see where you are, try and track your levels and watch your improvement during the course here, see how you're progressing. That also helps coupled with the athletic therapy so that those two work hand in hand with the return to place things should something happen to you. So that's a really good family, if you will, in terms of how those two work together. I think what we have, well, I'm not sure if this is on there, I'm going to talk about it. We're connected with another university, with another school, the university, Ontario Tech University. And in their facility, they have a beautiful gym at the top that you can use to run. And part of our conditioning training in the preseason is we go outside and we run. But sometimes it's a bit too cold or the weather may not be conducive to that. So we go upstairs and we use that. And it's a great opportunity to at least get some running in an environment that's controlled, at least when it comes to the weather and the climate and all that stuff. So that's great to use there as well.
Mm-hmm. So then jumping from there, you touched on it a little bit already, but athletic therapy, it's something that definitely stands out for Durham College when you're looking at each team having two student trainers and then all the work Saul and Allison put in. Can you just talk a little bit about athletic therapy at Durham College and how it works for the student athletes?
Right. So since I've been here, it's been a great thing because every team is assigned, as you just said, two trainers, two therapists that work hand in hand with the team. At every practice, they travel with us. They do a phenomenal job. I've never had any of them that I was question what they're doing. I think they do a great job in conjunction with Saul, Allison, and Jess to some degree when she was involved in it. We have good resources that if there's something that maybe the guys with our team, the trainers with our team can't solve, they have resources. Somebody's always there to sort of help them out. As players, you have, I don't want to say free reign, but you have the ability to use the varsity training if you use it properly. So they ask that you book appointments because they're busy. It's not just basketball alone. There's all the other winter sports going on and all the other athletes who need to be looked after as well. But when it's in season, they'll give us priority provided we do it the right way. You book an appointment. If for some reason you can't keep it, you don't just not show up. You call, let them know this has come up. I may not be able to make an appointment. Can I do it later? Can I do it another day? I believe they've gone through the process now that if you don't call, you just don't show up, you get suspended from there. Used to be how you say it, where they give you a little grace. Okay, well, next time don't do, and that's been happening too much. So I think that's just a matter, and I agree 100%. You book something, you can't do it. It's like life. You have an appointment with your doctor, you can't go, you just don't show up. You will call the doctor and say, I can't make it. So, but I think they're a tremendous resource for us. And when used properly, it's great for the students. They're good at getting us back to play as quickly as we need to be within the confines of what they need to do because there's guidelines that they need to follow, and they're not going to rush you back just because you want to be back or we want you back. It's when everything works for you to be back. And they communicate well with me as to what's happening with you. I get updates regularly as to your status, and they let me know when you can play. And when you do come back, what levels you can participate at in terms of just light running or no contact or whatever it is. So it's a good rapport we have with them, and I'd like to maintain that as it is.
And the health center there, it's located right in the health center, the athletic therapy area. So there's so many assets from the cold tub to athletes love the cold tub.
Right, and you go for ice bath, you go for, I'm not sure, I don't think they have saunas in there, but you can go in there and sort of use that as a cool down after practice. And yeah, those guys previous, I know they went and used it quite a bit. And I've never had one. I don't think I could ever have one. But I think from what I hear, it's good for your muscles to help restore and all that stuff. I don't want to say too much. I don't really know much about it. But.
And then they offer up in the health center there massage therapy and chiropractor and
right. And I believe that is sort of through your student account. I'm not sure that it's free. Sorry, Jordan. I don't think it's free, but it's through your student account. You pay sort of maybe like a reduced rate for it or something like that. I don't think
Yeah,
it's free, but
through
it's
through
good
the student
services.
insurance fees. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
good.
the therapy, actually, they do offer some free times for athletes,
Right, and there
but
you
those
go.
again have to be book times.
Right, and the other sort of just to piggyback onto that. So when we are on a game day, if you will, we have right by the gym satellite clinics that they use as well, and that's equipped enough stuff to sort of get us prepared prior to games. Now, all the major stuff they'll do in the main one, but prior to games, even for our practices, sometimes they use what they call a satellite clinic, which is closer to the gym, so it minimize your commute from gym to training facility.
And now they've added the extra space too. I know down near the Ontario Tech change rooms, but I'm sure that'll be made available on college game days as well if needed.
Right.
So next,
So I didn't mention also upstairs as well. There's just one level below the track. They have a beautiful weight room. It's one of the best in the OCAA's. But as long as you're a student there, you go up, show your card, or scan your hand, in you go, and you're free to work out. Again, provided you're doing things the right way, not wasting time. You're not there fooling around. It's a great opportunity. You're working out. You're looking outside. You have TVs all over the place. Lots of stuff for you to do there. So if you're into getting in shape, be it cardio or weight training or whatever it is, there's ample ways for you to do it at Durham College.
for sure. And then jumping to our next question, this one came up quite a bit over our summer sessions, and it's more just asking, as a student athlete, if there are any conflicts with maybe their academic schedule, steps that they might have to take, or suggestions you make for student athletes in terms of communication with their teachers and stuff beforehand.
Right. So that's the one, I won't say issue, but that's the one thing I have. And it's not just a Durham College, it's all college. First year athletes, we're going to talk about specifically, you get crappy timetables. So you generally have late classes. And when we practice at 5, generally we'll see them rushing to come in around 6:37 because they finish class at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. And if even sometimes we have late practice, 7 to 9, they're just scurrying to get there just shortly after 7 o'clock. I've always been a believer that if you're missing practice because it's school related, because of class, you'll have no issue with me. You will not get yourself in any kind of problems. But I would suggest to you, when you see a timetable early, go to your teachers and say, I'm a member of the men's basketball team. Go to not your teacher, go to your academic advisor or coordinator and see if you can make, or even to
Duggan?
No, not registration. Where you can go get your timetable adjusted.
Yeah.
So I can't think of the
Up
term
at
right
the
now.
Student Services building.
Student services, there you go. And maybe look at getting your timetable adjusted so it fits. But if it doesn't, that's okay. School comes first and you just go do what you need to do. You mentioned Mike Duggan. He's our varsity coordinator, and he's in charge of looking after our academics, making sure, especially first year students, that you're doing okay. You're not getting lost in the shuffle of being in a big college. We put you, for all first year students, on an attendance card. So that means when you go to your class, you got to present this card to your teacher. At the end of the class, they'll sign it to say that you were there for the full duration of the class. And then at the end of the week, you present that to Mike. And if everything's good, I hear nothing about it. But if you're not going, then he reports to me via email and comes and talks to me and lets me know Jonathan he missed 2 of his 4 classes today. What's happening there, that type of stuff. It's not that we're snooping. We want to make sure that you're getting the academic experience the right way, because that'll help you to maintain the basketball experience. Because if you're not doing well academically, you can't play basketball. So the two go hand in hand. If you are falling behind, there's tutors. I think the program's called SALS.
Yep.
There's tutors available where if you identify yourself early enough, we can get you help. If you wait till just before exams, it's kind of late at that point. Like anything else, if you need help, it's something let people know early. There's resources we have that can assist you with that. Second year, third year players, we give them a little bit more leeway because they've already been involved in the college experience, but we expect that they be upfront with what's going on with them. If they're struggling, same thing. Let somebody know they can help them. But generally, it's the first year guys that struggle a little bit because all this freedom they have where there's nobody, okay, you got to go to class now because you're all on your own. And nobody's going to come and find you until it's time to go to class. So we give them a little bit more freedom because they understand what's involved a little bit more.
And I think the biggest tip I've heard coaches talk about over the summer is just doing it right off the bat at the very beginning of the school year.
Yeah.
You know what your academic schedule is going to be. You know what your sports schedule is going to be. That's the great thing about sports is the schedule is already out there for you to see. You're not waiting around.
Right.
So you can go and already build that relationship with your teachers, let them know ahead of time that, this Friday we're going to be traveling to Ottawa, so I might miss a class, but I'm making you aware of it now, 2-3 months in advance.
Right.
And just having that rapport, because a lot of the staff will be sympathetic towards the situation and try and help you out. If there's any conflicts, a lot of times they'll try and work around it or figure out a different solution. And if there ever are concerns, our academic advisor, Duggan, has a really good relationship with all the different faculties. So he does a good job of communicating with them as well. So, but just doing it off the top, that's probably the most important part.
Jordan, give me a 2-minute pause for a sec.
No problem.
Okay, 2 minutes. Oh my God.
I muted you there.
Okay, so in adding on to what you were saying as well, what we also ask the athletes to do is on the website, there's some stuff you can download that says you print as many classes you have, you take it to your teachers. It says that you're a varsity athlete, and there might be times when you're missing classes. So that's kind of like what Jordan was talking about. So they know ahead of time. So you don't show up to them Friday morning at 9 and say, well, I'm on the team and I'm leaving at 11 o'clock. I have to miss the test. That doesn't work. Okay, most teachers will work with you 100%. Sometimes they've even given me the test and asked me to administer it on the road, because that's happened as well. So there's ways to make it work if you work together with everybody.
And that's just the supports that are kind of provided there by the college. So I think I'll jump over number 6 and we'll go to number 7. What's one thing a student athlete can be working on leading up to them going to college that next year? So this will be more specifically related to their sport. What's something they can be working on in their sport that year leading up to college?
Right. So I'm always on people I recruit when I meet them. The one thing you don't want to do is wait till September to try getting in shape. You should already come to the college. So over summer is when you should be working on conditioning your body, getting yourself strong. The basketball stuff we can take care of. We got 6-7 months to do that. But if you come in September and you're not in shape, you're behind, and it takes too long to catch up, especially if the other guys have been doing what they're supposed to do. Now you're forever chasing them and it's hard to catch up. So my biggest thing is come in shape. The other thing I really emphasize from September till about October, mid-October, as I said earlier, we don't do a lot of basketball in terms of games. That's where you have an opportunity to get your marks as high as they can go. Because once basketball starts, it tends to drop a little bit because your focus is taken away. It's understandable, but give yourself a cushion, a buffer, if you will, between September and October, get your grades as high. So come in shape, and then when you are there in September, attend all your classes. Do what you need to do, give yourself as high a mark as possible. So if it does fall, it's not going to put you sort of in a negative. You have a little bit of a buffer. Right, I recommend that strongly.
And then something related to those things they can prepare for and work on that year leading into the school. In a normal year, you might have the chance to go and see some high school players, some club players play before they come. What's something you specifically look for when you are scouting potential Durham College student athletes?
So number one for me, I'm very big on people being good people around the college. So I look for how you interact with other people. I mean, obviously, I want a good basketball player. I'd be silly if that was my number one thing. But you could be a great basketball player, but your attitude just doesn't fit. Because if you're always going to be in issues around the school, and we've had that, we haven't always been 100%. We've missed sometimes, because it happens. But it doesn't make for a good environment if you always have to be disciplining somebody because of their behavior or their lack of. So how you are as a person, how you relate with your teammates, your coaches, as I'm observing, are you that person that because he didn't get a good pass, you start yelling at people? That stuff doesn't work, right? And then there's stuff we're looking for. Do you read the game well? Defensively, are you in position? That type of stuff. There's some offensively, I'm not too overly concerned because we can adjust that. It's the defense. It's got to be like an instinctual thing. And that's one thing I look for, where you are on the floor. If you're a 6'8", are you blocking shots? Are you rebounding the ball? If you're a guard, are you able to keep the ball in front of you? That type of stuff. Do you get out to shooters and contest and do you make people do something other than what they're good at? That's sort of what we look for as coaches when we come out to take a look at you. But again, it goes back to, are you a good person in terms of the attitude that you show on the floor? And I sometimes don't like to tell people that I'm coming because then they try to put on an act. So if you don't think I'm there, you don't know I'm there, then who you are will come out, and then I can see that, and I will either just walk away and say no, or come and have a talk with you after and say, listen, blah, blah, blah. So the person you are that you display is huge.
And sometimes student athletes might be able to put on that act, right? But then the coaches aren't going to lie.
Right.
When you speak with the coaches, they'll let you know exactly the things you're looking for.
Right.
In terms of specific skills for certain positions when you're out there, what is it that stands out to you when you're watching a guard? What is it that you think stands out to you when you're watching a forward or a big man?
Right. So one thing with guards, because you watch a guard play in high school basketball, and if he's having trouble handling the ball, handling pressure, it's going to be crazy when you get to college. Because for the most part, college guys are coming at 18, 19, but you're playing against guys who might be 21, 22. So a little bit more mature. So if you can handle the ball in pressure and make good plays when you're under pressure, that I look for from a guard. If you tell me you're a shooter, I look for you, do you shoot the ball? Do you make shots? Now, you don't always have to make them, but do you take the right shots when you're supposed to? Just because you're wide open every time, if you shoot every time, that's not really basketball. That's you trying to showcase yourself. Good basketball players will include everybody else around them to make the game easier for everybody. If you're a big guy, rebound the ball. We can't do anything unless we have the ball. We can't have the ball unless you rebound the ball, unless we're taking out our basket because they're scoring us all the time. Rebound the ball, block shots, defensively be disruptive. Get your hands up, be active, deflect the ball, take charges, that type of thing. Offensively, how do you move the ball? Do you include other people? That type of thing.
And that kind of takes us into our next question. And this one is specifically about your experiences. You've been at DC for a while, so you have a lot of experience to pull from in terms of being the coach of the program.
Right.
Say a potential high school recruit comes out to one of the games to watch your team play, or maybe it's a university or college student maybe looking to do a post-grad at Durham College, and they're out at a DC game. What do you think is something that stands out about your teams?
Right. So it depends on, that will sort of depend on the player that's coming. What you'll notice with us is, my one thing that we talked about the team about before we leave the locker room every time is, do not be outworked by your opponent. They might be better, but don't let them outwork you. So we're going to work hard for the 40 minutes that we play. Does it always show? No, but that's what we try to instill. And to me, that working hard starts when we practice. So if you come there and you'll see guys hitting the floor, you'll see guys, and that's what I want people to see, because we're a hardworking group of guys. And as coaches, we try to get people to buy into that. And it starts with how you prepare, are you ready to play? Also, it basically starts back in the practice, which you coming in new won't know about. But from time to time, we can sort of bring you into a practice or two, let you either see it or take part in it, so you see what the environment's like. So when it gets into the game, it transitions into that. But it's about hard work and then conducting yourself properly. I'm not a fan of players getting technicals, because that means your focus is someplace else. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. I always tell them, getting technicals, leave that to me, because I know the referees. I know my limits and what I can and can't do, and they won't get me. But they'll get you because you're not supposed to be talking to them. So hard work and discipline, those are two things that if you're watching, you're probably going to see from us.
And I think some of your best teams have had those qualities for sure. I remember
Absolutely.
being at some of the games, even as I was a student at Durham, and those were some fun teams to watch. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
And then just to finish it off, just any final tips for someone that might be interested in college athletics. If there's someone that's a student athlete looking to play at college, what's a final tip you might give them?
Be prepared. You cannot come to college and want to start when we start. You have to prepare yourself. And I'm not just talking for the basketball part. Be prepared academically. So as you're going through your high school life, get as high a marks as you can so that when you get in there, you're used to working hard. You're used to completing assignments, that stuff, because it doesn't just turn on when you come to college. The athletic part of it, as I stated already, you can't come to college not in shape. You have to be ready to go because we start pretty early. And as I said, we do progression. So we start slow, but then we pick up. The other thing I see a lot of this is be true to yourself. We get a lot of guys who will send me emails and tell me about this abilities and that abilities that they have. Then when you get them in the gym, it's like, what are you talking about? So be true to yourself. You're coming into a level where you might be 18 or 19, and you're going to be playing against guys 20, 21, 22. So measure yourself appropriately to know that you're giving yourself a chance to compete. Because if you tell me you can do this, I'm going to put you against these guys to do it. And if it shows that you can't, it's kind of not a really a good look for you. So be true to yourself. So prepare academically, prepare physically, mentally, of course, and be true to who you are. Okay.
I think knowing your strengths is definitely a big thing for any student athlete coming in, right? Like those are what you know is going to shine. So make sure you're being truthful in terms of what you're saying your strengths are, and then working on those weaknesses.
Right.
Okay, that'll do it. Thanks for jumping on tonight,